So my name is Rafael Castillo. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Europe and Latin America. I will be hosting the introduction of this session. So the main objective is to go through all the features, right? Of course, including all new features and on TVU Producer version 3, which will allow you to create a multi-source productions on the cloud remotely, right? We have been adding new functionality to TVU Producer, and with the addition of the Partyline, it actually adds more value and define a more flexible system for you to do your productions remotely in the cloud, either for broadcast application or for distribution to the other type of targets, social media, CDN, web, etc. So with me is going to be Raymond Simons. He will be the expert going through all the different tools. So the main idea is many of you in this call have been already using TVU Producer, have been already using Partyline. So this is your opportunity to see what is new and to ask questions about, how to use those features. So again, at the end, you use the Q&A icon to type your questions. We will answer at the end of the session. There are, Raymond, and we also have BJ, which is the head of the product, available to answer those. So with that, Raymond, all yours.
Basically, I'm going to share my screen with you. And you should see my TVU Producer login interface. Basically, when you first log into TVU Producer, this would be the workspace that you actually will see. Now, a little bit about what Producer is all about. Many times you're having to create shows for social media, and a lot of times the person that you're bringing in to create these social media shows is usually someone that may be an intern or someone that's relatively new to the broadcast space. So this tool was actually designed with that in mind, making it very simple and easy to use, where the training time to teach someone to use the product is at a very minimal. And I would be willing to bet by the time we're finished with this demo, each of you will be able to go in and use TVU Producer effectively. Now, this particular tool sits completely in the cloud, and what I've done on my PC, I've just logged into an instance of TVU Producer in the cloud, and I'm managing it with my PC. But all of your video sources, all your video inputs, and everything are going to the cloud. So the infrastructure needed is at a bare minimum at your facility to make this work. And it allows your production crew that's producing for social media to work independently. So first, I'm in the workbench. Basically what you would do is I would create a program. And basically what that program would be, I'm gonna call it demo. And it allows me to select the integrated feature set that is available in Producer. And those feature set, first of all, I can select my format, and I'm just choosing a 1080p 60. And then I can enable other features, integrations, which is the first is the ability to output to a Pro MPEG source. I can enable Partyline, which Partyline is a product that's very similar to Zoom, in which we're in now. But it gives you some capabilities that Zoom doesn't, meaning that you have much higher quality video and much higher quality audio. Also, you know that if you've used Zoom very much, if you have two people trying to talk, the system will try to cancel out one of the person's audio to allow the other person to be heard. Whereas TVU Partyline would allow both people to talk or a group of people to talk at the exact same time, sort of like sports anchors would use. Where they talk over one another, and in this particular situation, all will be able to be heard very clearly. I can also enable an RPS integration. RPS is a remote production system, and it has the ability to stream 6 streams back to your studio, as well as 5 of those streams can go into Producer, so that your digital team will have access to the streams coming from the RTS encoder into Producer, allowing your digital team to create their own show using the same content you may be using for your linear broadcast. Enable output to grid. That particular feature allows me to send a program feed stream to a TVU transceiver, thereby allowing you to get an SDI out of your from your Producer show. Enabling the record input source. This allows the system to automatically enable all of the input sources, all 7 of them, as well as your program feed. These will all be automatically recorded in the cloud for later download. I can enable the replay feature, which allows me to create instant replays during the show. At that point, I would select the region closest to the to where I am, and that points me to a data center in Northern Virginia. I'm in North Carolina, so that would be closest to me. So once I've selected my options here, I would then save this, and when I save it, which I'm not going to do for this particular setting here for this particular program, I would end up having another program show up, such as what you see here. As you can see, this one is already running, the PL demo. I'm going to just enter back into that particular program that I have already running. Now, this is the interface that you would see when you log in, when you actually get into Producer. First thing I look at is how much time do I have left? I have 44 hours, 38 minutes, but let's say that I only had 30 minutes left, and I felt that that would be enough time to complete my show. And all of a sudden, I'm doing my show, everything is going well, and I go a little long, and I go 35 minutes or 40 minutes. I just want you to understand the behavior of Producer. Even if my time runs out and I'm doing a show, it's not going to just cut me off and just die. It will allow me to complete my show, and I would just be billed for an additional hour to cover the time that I've gone over. So that's a nice little feature, knowing that I won't be just totally cut off. Another thing I want you to understand, that if for some reason I'm doing a show and I lose my internet connection on the device that I'm managing this show on, the program Producer will continue to stream doing what it was doing before you lost your internet connection, thereby giving you time to log back in and catch up with what was going on. Let's look at the actual layout. I have my preview pane that shows me all my preview, and notice it's bordered in green. I have my program, which is bordered in red, and I have the ability to add 7 sources underneath. We'll come back to this in a moment. I want to follow just a normal workflow to try to give you some understanding how this all fits together. And the first thing that we will do is we will look at the output. Where do we want to send our show? What type of show do we want to create? Or should I say, what platform do I want to actually send this program to? So if I click on output, you see there's 3 already configured here. But if I go to the bottom, it gives me the ability to add a social media account. Another box opened up, gives me the ability to see what platforms I have access to. Let's say that I wanted to create and send something to, let's say, YouTube. I click on the YouTube. I enter my output name. I have the ability to then authenticate. When I click authenticate, what that does is that navigates me to YouTube's login, thereby allowing me to enter my credentials, thereby binding my YouTube account with my TVU Producer account. I select my resolution, I select my bit rate, and I would save that particular destination. It would then show up as like these 3 right here. Understand, there's actually 6 IP encoders built into this, so I can stream to up to 6 IP destinations simultaneously. But let's say that you don't see the platform in which you wanted to use, and you wanted to just send to your regular CDN. In that situation, I would select Other, and then I would be able to configure my destination address the old-fashioned way, just putting the output name, the RTMP or RTSP, RTMPS, UDP, various URL types. I would put that here, resolution, bitrate, and I would save that. Okay? And so now that we know, and you see that these 3 accounts that's created here also reflects over here now. So we know how to configure the output, and we know where we can actually send things. So now let's look at our sources. You notice that I have, as I've mentioned, I have 7 boxes here. Each box has an add source. I just already happen to have something in 2 and 3, but I'll show you what it looks like to add a source. I just click inside that box. I can select, I can add an external IP source. And when I click on external IP source, there's an add, and you'll see there's all sorts of URL types that I can use. If I was going to do a YouTube, I would just click on YouTube. I would go out to YouTube, copy the URL, paste the URL here, give it a name, and once I've done that, I would save it. And what I would end up having is something like this. So I'm just going to click on this one that I've already pre-configured, and I'm going to add that source. And that source will load into source box 1, and it's bringing that YouTube video directly into source box 1, commercial free. Now this, the external IP source not only works with YouTube videos, it also works with PTZ cameras, beauty cams, DOT cams. If you have an IP source that you have the true IP URL for, whether it be the URL or it be an IP address, if you have the true IP address for that source, then you can add it to Producer. Now, some will ask, what if you have something like that's embedded inside of a website? Well, if it's embedded inside of a website, you can't grab that source because they have hidden the true IP address or a source address for that particular video. Now, source box 4, I'm going to show you the other things that I can add. I can add a TVU Anywhere device, meaning I can open up TVU Anywhere on my smart device. And for those that may not be aware, TVU Anywhere is an application you can download on any of your smart devices, or download it on smartphones. If you want to use a tablet, it's an iOS tablet or an iOS laptop, but any phone it works. So you download the application from your app store. Inside of that application, you have the ability to scan, and at that point, I would scan the QR code for my TVU Anywhere, on my TVU Anywhere, thereby binding my TVU Anywhere device to my TVU Producer account. I have the ability also to add TVU Packs. So these are, or any of the other professional TVU encoders that TVU sells. You have the ability to add that, whether it be an M-Link, TVU Pack, a Nano, any of those encoders can be brought in as a source as well. I can also add grid sources. So basically, the back of a TVU transceiver, you have an SDI input. Anything I connect to the back of that TVU transceiver can be brought in as a source, as long as it's one of my assets, one that I own. I'm going to see if I can actually bring in a pack source. And what I'm doing now is I'm just adding a TVU pack. We'll see if that one is available for me to actually use. I just selected it, and the checkbox lets you know I selected it, and then I just did an add source to see if it will drop it into source box 4. If that doesn't work, so it told me this device is not available, please contact support. That's actually a very good thing to see as well. So what I'll do in lieu of that is I will bring in my TVU Pack on my TVU Anywhere device. So I have already connected my TVU Anywhere app with Producer. So I just opened it up on my phone, and now that I've opened it up on my phone, you're going to see here in a moment, it will go green. That dot right there that says offline, that dot will turn green, letting me know that the phone is now online and ready. And you can see that it is. And I will plug in a headset so that I won't get any feedback. We know how that is. And I'm going to lean this here where it can stand up and you can actually see me. Okay, all right, so I've selected it, and I'm going to add that source. So I've now added my iPhone as a source. So this is me. Hi, everyone. Now, source box 5, I have, it gives me the ability to add this is my video player. And you see when I clicked on it, I had a panel to open up on the side here. And this allows me to actually play any video that I may have available to me already. If I click on that, you see that box populates. Now, how do I add that video? Basically, if I come to here and where it says add, I click on that. That just accesses the hard drive of my computer, thereby allowing me to upload that file from the hard drive of my computer to my instance of Producer, in the cloud. Now, I do have some abilities to start and stop that video. You see now it's stopped. I can actually do a play. And I have the ability to put it in a loop or tell it to next. Or when if I had it in preview, whenever it ends, I can tell it to automatically cut from preview to program. So those are just some of the options I have, but it's here available for me to use. Source box 6 just gives me the ability to add an additional external source, and source box 7 gives me the ability to do a custom layout. So I can actually select templates that I've already created, or I can go here and I can do I can create a template. And if I do an add, I'm going to do an add of source box 2 first, and that particular one is actually a video of source box 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make that one full screen, and I'm going to crop that. And then I have, as you recall, I have other sources that I can use here. I'm going to add source box 1. This is what was in 1. I can actually size that and place that where I want it. And then I can add source box 3. I'm just going to put it down here in the bottom. And again, I can size it any way I want it. And I'm going to add another source box 4. And I'm just going to put it inside here and just make it a little smaller just so you can see I have the flexibility to do what I want. And I'm going to finish crop. Well, let me crop that again. Let me redo that one. Add 4. I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to crop it to full and finish cropping. All right, so that's my layout that I've created. And now I can actually click done. And I have now, here it is right here. I'm going to select it and I'm going to add that source. Now I could have also added a still picture behind my windows if I chose to have done so. But I think this is a little bit more interesting. As you see, source 2, I actually have a moving video in the back, which kind of makes it a little more interesting to look at. Now, how will I move this to my preview? It's a matter of me just clicking on it, and I can click on any of them to move them to preview. But I know that those that are doing this on a regular basis, they have a problem with using a mouse, or they like to have keyboard shortcuts. That's a lot more efficient. I'm using a keyboard because it allows you to see what I'm about to do before I do it. But if you notice that each of these boxes are numbered, so I have the ability to just press the number on my keyboard, and that brings up that particular shot. Okay, all right. So you also notice that associated with each of these, there's a headphone here. If I click on the headphone, that just allows me to listen in to that particular audio. And I can do it for each of the actual sources, and as well as for my preview or for the program. Now, how do I get my preview to program? So it's just a matter of me doing a video cut, or I could have pressed the space bar. It has the same effect. Okay. You also notice in each of these particular boxes, I see two other icons, which one is a picture-in-picture. So it's just a matter of me clicking on it, and I'll click on this one because it's something different. If you notice when I clicked on the other one, it just changed. I can move this to wherever I want it. I can size it to my desired size, place it in the bottom left-hand corner here, and now that's my, that is an overlay, so that would be an overlay cut to take it into program. And let me move that to myself, so something that's different than what you're seeing on screen. All right, so now I am your source in as the picture-in-picture. Make me a little bigger so you can, so it won't be hard for you to see. Okay, all right, so I am the source now. One of the things that I can do, being the source, as if, let's pretend that I'm the talent, and I want to be the voice overlay. So that makes it kind of interesting. Regardless of what's playing in the background, I want to be the voice overlay. If I come to the left here, where it says audio mixer, when I click on this, this panel will change, and you see audio follows video is on. I can turn that off. And by me turning that off, it assumed that since source box 4 is in the picture-in-picture view, that that's probably the one that I'm wanting to have as the audio overlay. And in this particular instance, it is correct. Now, so I am now, my voice audio is overlaid for the program, but I could also turn on some of these others if I chose to do so. It's up to me what I turn on. And at this point, all the audio are at the same level. But if I wanted my audio to be a little louder, I showed you there's an audio meter and a volume control in each of these. I would just simply increase the audio for my particular source. And therefore, I can make it a little louder than the others to give me a nice mix. Okay? So now, but if I'm doing a voice overlay, there's probably little need for me to preview this because I probably want to be able to, if I'm the person that's speaking to it, whoever is producing this, there's no need to preview. They want to be able to switch based on the conversation that I'm actually providing. And in that situation, we would turn off the preview, and this allows me to do real-time switching. So I could switch as needed without having to preview it. And also, if you notice when I first spoke to you, introduced this, I pointed out that the preview is bordered in green. You see that number 3 is in green, programs in red, number 5 is bordered in red. So that gives me a really quick glimpse as to which is in which source box, which output box, whether it's preview or program. Okay. All right. Now, source box 5, as we know, is a video playing. You notice there is a timer there that's counting down. That's about a 36-second video. When it gets down to like 10 seconds, it turns red to bring that to my attention. Okay. All right. We're going to continue with the audio controls. Now, what I've shown you so far, there's a lot going on here. I'm actually responsible for starting the live, doing the switching. I'll show you in a minute how we do graphics. That's a lot for one person to actually do. But if I have a colleague somewhere, and we know that everyone is working from home now, that can help me with this, then that's trusted and can help me with this, you can have several people logged in on the same instance and each of you doing something different. But moreover, so far as the audio portion of it, I could actually copy a URL down here at the bottom, which will take me to an advanced audio mixer. This is pretty cool. So I could copy that. I could email this to Raphael that did the introduction, and he could actually be my audio guy. What does that look like? If I just click on it, it's going to open it up on my PC where you can actually see it. So here you will see the audio mixer is loading. Give it a moment here. Okay, so that is, once it's finished, this is the audio mixer. And you see that I had to mute it because it is disembedding the audio for me where I can actually listen in. But there's a preview for each of the channels that I'm actually working with. Now, if there's one that I need to see a little better, I can actually click on that 3 dots, and I can actually take that full screen, or I can actually put it in picture-in-picture, which gives me a chance to see get a better view of what that is. Okay, and I actually have the ability to turn on and off the audio follows video. I have a monitor level here, audio level, which allows me to control the audio level, and this would be the audio level from my speakers that we're actually listening to here. I have the audio for each individual channel. I have the primary audio for my for the master output here, okay, where I can actually control that. Same is true for the program. I actually have the ability to take that full screen or do a picture-in-picture, same as I do with all the other available sources. All right, so that's a really quick overview of the audio panel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this and go back into the regular producer instance, and we're going to now take a look at graphics. When I click on overlay here, I have 2 options here. I have the ability to bring in native graphics, which are graphics that I've actually created myself previously, whether it be logo or text. I can add text images as well, single text, text ticker, and it's just as simple as when I put my cursor over here, it tells you what formats it's looking for, JPEG, PNG, GIF, and it does support alpha channel graphics, and it tells me what the maximum resolution would be. So it's just a matter of me clicking on the graphics. You see there's a TVU bug there. If I unselect it, it's gone. Here's one with the Jaguars. It's actually moving. I also have the ability to size these and move these wherever I want as well. I had a lower third I've created. That's just a basic graphical capability. And it's just a matter then of overlay cut. Get rid of my picture on that to bring the graphics into program view. So there you have it. I'm going to unselect these and clear it from my program. And because I want to now show you, we've done an integration with singular.live. So if I click on this tab, it says singular.live, and it's just, I'll give you a chance to see what that looks like. Singular.live, as well as Never Know and Flowix integrations. So if I click on the singular.live, basically what that does is that would take me to my login for singular.live. And let me finish logging into that. All right, so that is my singular.live integration, and this is what it looks like. So if I click on one of my options here, you see now it brought up the controls for that. So basically, I could actually click on the graphics coming out of singular.live and go back here. And you see, I can actually send these into Producer. So basically, I have full graphic capability of from singular.live. I also have the ability to use Never Know or Flowix. I'll use Flowix. And basically, this particular system has graphics that actually appear in here. And it's just a matter of me clicking on the output, and this is what the output looks like. I haven't really configured anything special, but this is what the output looks like. I can go here, and I can actually copy that URL and go back to Producer and click on the input URL. I'm going to paste that URL here, and once I've done that, now you see what was in Flowix is now actually in my Producer program feed. So that would actually be controlled from here. So whatever I choose to send that I create actually goes into my program for Producer. Okay. All right. So that's just a quick overview of the graphics. The next part that we want to talk about is Intercom. How do you interact with someone out in the field that's remote? So basically, I click on the Intercom tab, and I'll tell it I've got it. If you recall, this particular source is my iPhone, and I can actually open up a VoIP, which means voice over IP channel between my iPhone and the desktop unit that I'm actually managing this show with. So it's just a matter of me turning that on. It's going to, now on my phone, there's a private, you heard the feedback letting you know that it is working. And basically what that would do, it would allow me to have a private conversation with the person on the other end of that iPhone. This audio channel that I'm talking over would not be the program audio. If I had my AirPods or my headset, Bluetooth headset in my ear, I would be able to have a two-way conversation with the person on the field, in the field, talking back, between the PCs managing it and the person in the field. All right, live captioning. We do support Transcriber. And Transcriber is a product by TVU that does a voice-to-text translation. It can actually just, any video that it sees, it can actually just do a transcription of that, giving you a text file. Or if you were using it for closed captioning or something of that nature, it can actually, even if you had some other closed captioning product that you were using, it could listen in and fill in any gaps that may be missed by someone that's manually doing the transcribing for you. But but TVU Transcriber is a perfect solution for this type of application. You just turn it on, it does its thing, and gives you the transcription you're looking for. We also support, as you can see, other third-party captioning products. It supports also study, and you have a couple of options here: splice insert, time signaling, whether it be manual or auto stopping of it. I won't go into that, but it gives you some appreciation that it does support study signaling. Here at the bottom, you see there's an option that says, a button that says replay. If I click on replay, at that point that I clicked that, Producer held on to the last 60 seconds of the first 4 inputs. And you can see them here. If I was to click on one of them, I now see a 60-second timeline, 0 to 60, gives me, and of course you see my preview now is actually previewing what I'm doing here at the bottom. So this gives me the option to do my mark in, I do my mark out. It supports a basic transition, meaning that if I was to click this, it just takes me to my hard drive, let me upload something that I have, and now I can do a replay cut. And doing a replay cut, it would just use the transition here. It would do a swipe of the program feed, play what I've already marked here, and when it's done, it would swipe and go back to the original video that was playing in that source from the beginning. So there it goes. Very basic, but useful. If I was to click update, that just gives me a fresh 60 seconds of the first 4 inputs. All right, now we've covered most of Producer. The only thing that we didn't talk about was taking it live. Even though we have a video in the program feed, we're not live to air yet at this point. So I could actually click on the output and I can take it live to Grid. I could take it live to YouTube. You notice here a number shows up in a bubble, number 2, that tells me that I am on air with 2 sources. And if you recall, I said that I could use up to 6, right? I'm using 2 of my 6. So we're actually streaming to Grid and we're streaming to YouTube. What does it mean to stream to Grid? Well, I could actually click on these 3 dots right here, and what it's doing is it's going to copy an ISSP address from my from Producer, and now I can send that to a colleague. I can go to my transceiver. I can send it to anyone that has a TVU transceiver that I would like to share this program feed with. And what would they do with that? They would go to their command center. This is the product that allows me to manage all of my TVU assets, and in this particular situation, my transceivers. I click on the plus sign. I would go here and I would make sure I select an external source. I would paste my URL there, and I would give it a name, and I would save it. I now have created a source called demo, and I'm going to look for that source, and I'm going to turn on, make sure I have all my, that I haven't filtered it out. Here's one that says demo. If I click on that, I'll do a drop down to select the transceiver that I would like to take it live with, and I'm going to take that live. So now what has just happened is that my TVU transceiver has reached into the data center where this Producer instance is actually running, and it's now bringing that program feed back to my transceiver, thereby giving me the ability to put it on Grid or to get an SDI out into the field. I'm going to change that so you'll know that this is real. And I'll go back to my command center, and there it is. And you can see the transition that was actually quite fast. All right. So that's how I would get my SDI out of Producer into my master control. Now, I'm going to end live on these. And now that I've ended live, I want to download my content. I'll go back to the workspace that we started in, and I'll come here where it says Cloud Record. And today is the 30th. If I click on this, double click it, let me back up. Here you can see all of the ISOs for each of the 7 or 6 inputs. I didn't have anything in source box 6, but I did have something in all the other 1 through 5 and 7. So I could actually click on that. I can actually download that, and it would allow me to come in and specify the time that I wanted to download it by just changing it here. And then I would start to download. If I started to download, it would just show up down here at the bottom like any of my other things that you download offline. And at that point, I would have the ability to just play it out. Or if I wanted to just if I didn't want to play it out and I wanted to just use it later in another show later, I could do that as well. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back into Producer. And that pretty much goes through Producer, the use case or how to use, create a show using TVU Producer. Okay. All right. Now, the next part of this is TVU Partyline. And I'm going to, Partyline actually, as I mentioned earlier, is very similar to the Zoom that we entered, that we're using currently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up TVU Partyline. And when I first go into it, it's going to ask me, do I want to start a party or join a party? Well, I want to host this, so I'm going to start a party. And the reason that it logged in without me having to enter any credentials is that it's using the same login credentials that I was using for my producer account. So we have a one account type system that the same account that I use for my TVU Command Center, Producer, and Partyline. If I'm using the exact same login for each of those, then everything then is bound together to allow me to have a pretty smooth transition from one application into the next. But you see that I have the ability to start a party, and I have common party, I have gallery view, and I have conference. Well, what I want to use right now is common party. And what does that look like? Well, I have one that that's been here, been open since you can see September 14th, and I basically want to just use that particular one. So how would I go about doing that? What does it look like? Well, what I can do is I would actually let me refresh it so my camera will come in. I'll turn on the camera. Okay, so basically I could actually copy this here. And when I copy that, what does it look like? Well, I'll open up a notepad and show you what was actually copied. Basically, this is what was copied to the clipboard of my computer. It looks very much like the invite you got for this particular event that you're attending right now. And so if I was to email this to someone, depending on how they are using their email, let's say that they're on a desktop or laptop unit, and we would ask that you use Chrome. So they would actually open up their email in Chrome, and once they've done that, it would actually open up another browser tab and allow them to join my actual Partyline instance here. Or I could actually, if they were actually using a smart device, like a phone, when they click on that link, if TVU Anywhere is not already installed, it would navigate them to the App Store, asking them to install the application. Once they've installed the application, they then have the ability to hit the link again. It would open up TVU Anywhere and actually bring them into my party. Another way that we could do that would be to you can do it a slightly different way, and the way that you would do that, other way you can do that is by using by typing in the number. So I could actually go to Partyline and on my laptop or my iPad, and that's what I'm going to do. And basically, I'm going to share my iPad screen with you, and this is what I see on my iPad. So I went to partyline.tvnetworks.com. It's asking me for do I want to join a party or download the app, and I'm going to tell it to just join the party. And what it's doing is it's going to open my TVU Anywhere, and you see the interface of my TVU Anywhere changed. So basically, it brought me into my join the party. This is what I see on my iPad, and this is what I see in Partyline. And let me put in my headphone where I won't get any feedback. All right. So this is what I see on my on the interface of the PC as the host. If you were joining via a PC as a participant, you would have a very similar view as to what I see here. Now, what does this do for me? And actually, Raphael joined too. Hello, Raphael. Thank you for joining. And so basically, now Raphael or anyone that's a part of this party, we could all talk and have a conversation. Everyone can hear one another. You can see the video is quite good. But what can I do with this? So if I go back to producer, which I'm going to go back to producer, and I'm going to clear out source box 1, clear out source 3, and clear out source 4. All right. And why did I clear those out? Because I have participants here in Partyline that I would like to be a part of my producer show. So how would I do that? Well, if I come here at the bottom, underneath each of these, there's a drop down. I have the ability to come here and I'm going to select slot 1 and put the video from my desktop, my webcam on my desktop. I'm going to add the video to source box 3 from my iPad. And I'm going to add Raphael in source 4. And what does it look like now in producer? We're all now in producer. So with that being said, basically what I can do is Partyline in this particular instance is kind of used like a green room where I can have people, I only have the ability to bring in 4 people, but I can have 7, 8, 9 people waiting in the green room and standby and bring them in at the given time that I need them. And how could I do that? Well, I might want to talk with them and tell them that you're next up. So what I can do here is I can come here and I can click on anyone that had joined via a PC. So let's say that someone else had joined by a PC. I could make them production crew, giving them some of the rights that I have. So I'm going to click on myself here. It comes up telling me that I'm granting operational authority to myself here as a participant, as a host. And so now I've granted the desktop user access. The icon changed a little bit, but you see outside my iPad and beside Raphael's iPhone, there's a headset now. So basically, I can open up that, and I can now have a private conversation with Raphael. what do I see on my iPad? Well, you see everyone that is participating in this is now showing, which is my desktop, and Raphael, it shows private channel. You can't see Raphael and myself. Raphael and myself, we're having a private conversation. No one else can hear us, but both Raphael and I can still continue to hear everything else that's going on in the party. At that point, when I'm done, I unselect Raphael. We're now back in the party as we were previously. And there we are. You can see we're still in the party. We're back in the party. Okay. All right. Now, what more can I do? If you recall, when I first started the producer instance, I logged in to a program called PL Demo. Here at the top, I see main window. I do a drop down there. There I see PL Demo. If I select PL Demo, what will happen is whatever is in the program feed from my producer account will route into my pane here to show me what is actually in producer. So anyone that had joined via a PC, I could actually be pushing the program feed to them where they can actually see what's going on. What do I see on my iPad? I see the exact same thing. So if I wanted to push the program feed to them, I'll do a video cut. Now everyone will see what I have changed it to. And my network's a little slow here at home, so I do apologize for that. But I will get the program feed of what is now coming into producer, from producer into Partyline. I also, in this drop down, you see I also have TVU transceivers. So if there's video going into the back of my transceivers, I could actually be pushing that video to everyone that's a part of this party as well. Okay. Not only can I push it to bring in return feed from producer and from a transceiver, I could have actually used this to route, instead of routing the video from Partyline into producer, like I did here, I could actually send it to a transceiver to give me an SDI out. So, so if I needed to have all three of us in the master control, I would just need 3 transceivers. I could send each of us to a transceiver, give me an SDI out into my switcher, and I could do my switching in-house as I choose. Okay, so that's a pretty good overview of the Partyline Common Party. If I click on the hamburger right here, I have other options as well. I have gallery view, and basically in gallery view, I would actually, you see that my party ID had changed here. I could actually copy this, send this to someone to create a gallery view. And what gallery view would be the ability, and I will talk through this, I won't show this, but it gives me the ability to invite many people into my gallery view. And what that would do is I could actually have a 1x2 all the way up to a 7x7 mosaic. So if I had 49 people in my party, I could have all 49 of them arranged in a gallery view, a mosaic view, and then I could actually send that to an SDI out. So let's say you were at you were producing a sporting event, and you had an LED wall inside that arena. You could actually be pushing the gallery view to a transceiver, thereby giving you an SDI out, going to that video board, and now you have people inside of your stadium or arena that the athletes can actually see them, and the audio is actually being routed into that as well. So it's sort of like having a virtual crowd to help motivate the athletes to play at their very best. So that's pretty much what the gallery view would give me. Um, so I could also have what we call conference. Now, what conference would be, and I'm not going to go too deep into this either, but what conference is this product would be used for like if you're doing like a reporter, I mean, like a press conference. So let's say you have the coach of some major football team, and the coach, he would appear here in this particular first box right here. I could have reporters in here. Now, I can see everyone, but anyone that has joined this particular conference, they can only see themselves and the speaker, the primary speaker. That's all that they can see. They cannot talk to one another. They cannot hear one another. They can only see themselves and the speaker. Now, at any given time, I have the ability to actually select a particular participant. Once I've selected that participant, they will then appear into the questioner's box. And once they're in the questioner's box, everyone now will be able to see the speaker, the questioner, and themselves. And they will be able to hear what's going on between the questioner, hear the question that's being asked of the speaker. Once that's been addressed, I'd unselect that person and they would go right in, then the next person would go in. Now, I want you to understand that this area down here is actually the queue. After I've actually selected that person, you're the next person up, they would go into the next slot, available slot. All of the participants for me would show up here on this side right here, allowing me to know what number they are or when they joined or what number they are in this particular queue. I would be able to know the participant's name and the company they work for. And while they're over here, I would have the ability as the host to actually screen them. And once I'm satisfied with the screening of them, I can then place them in the questioner's queue. Now, the speaker can actually see who's in the questioner's queue and whoever shows up as a questioner. So those are just some of the capabilities of this particular product. And as I said, Partyline encompasses 3 products, which we saw were our Common Party, Gallery View, which is a mosaic, and Conference, which is more for press conferences. I think that pretty much covers most of all of the products in which we have featured here today. That concludes my demo. What I would like to do now is open it up for questions.
So the first question, BJ, is what are the new features we have introduced lately and how do they add value?
Awesome. I hope you guys can hear me. To quickly introduce myself, I'm the product owner for both Producer as well as Partyline product. I'm extremely excited to talk to all of you. Actually, we have recently introduced or launched a few exciting features. The first one of them is the ISO recording feature. Previously, we used to have a recording only for the program output that is going out of the producer. And as well, you can always record it on the social media destination. But with the introduction of ISO recording, you can record each camera source, each input source independently of the other feeds. Obviously, the ISO recording is going to help a lot for post-production teams who are going to repackage the content for new social media or mobile environments. Now, having said that, the ISO feature obviously enables you to effortlessly kind of fix some of the live mistakes that have happened, customize graphics on top of that and repurpose your content. Having said that, all you need to do with the ISO recording feature is to enable it in the configuration. Once you enable it in the configuration, it is only one time. As soon as you enable ISO recording features, and you launch your program on the producer, all the different input sources are recorded right from the beginning until you close the instance, which means it includes all your preparations, it includes your conversations, it includes your essential live session, as well as anything else that you have said throughout the session. So that's about the ISO recording feature, because this was one feature that was in extreme demand from most of our customers. We did that. And now we have introduced a new custom multiviewer. So previously with the source 7, one of the input sources in the producer, we used to have a predefined multi-views like a quad view or a dual view. Now what we have done on top of that is we allow customers to build your own custom views based on your needs. I think indeed Raymond did demonstrate this feature on the source 7 as he was talking about the cropping feature. Essentially, it allows you to build any like try a vertical production, or let's say you want to have a landscape mode. You can crop it based on your landscape mode production that you are going to send it to one live destination. Let's say if you want to do some vertical cropping and you intend to do a vertical output to one of your social media destination, you can certainly do that. And one of the important aspects in Producer is you can essentially go live on all the different social media destinations at the same time, and you can essentially switch between landscape and vertical mode. Now, in addition to that, we actually supported some advanced features in the audio mixer panel. We supported group audio. This was one of the requests from one major customers, and we actually now support all the different capabilities in the audio mixer. Let's say if you want to monitor each video feed for production, there is a URL that you can remotely access and monitor each audio and video feed for production. You can adjust all the input levels as well as the master output. You can adjust pans, audio gains for each channel. You can assign channels to different groups for simple management of multiple sources. You can mute individual channels, or you can mute the group audio. So all these advanced features are supported. Now, in addition to that, we recently supported SCTI insertion for inserting triggers into the live show, so that you can the third-party advertising providers can insert ads at specific slots in the live production. In addition, we support both live captions as well as kind of closed captions. So we recently worked with one of the live caption provider, so that we can send them a stream and they can actually have a person sitting there to do live caption and send that feedback out of the program output. In addition, we also support our own integration with our transcriber product, so that you can enable it and essentially see the closed captioning on the output of the producer. That's my answer. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so the next question is, can you talk about Advanced Audio Mixer and its capabilities in more detail?
I think I did mention Advanced Audio Mixer is a dedicated, separate interface that we built for audio operators. Typically with Producer, we can allow a lot of collaboration. Like one of the important collaborator is the audio operator, and he can essentially sit remotely on one part of the world to focus and dedicate himself to mix the audio for the live show. So having said that, as I was talking about it, yeah, I think Raymond, if you can share the screen, if you have the producer running the audio mixer panel, that would be helpful. So I was going to talk about that. So as I was talking previously, I think the advanced audio mixer panel allows you to monitor each video as well as audio feed in production. You can adjust all the different input levels as well as the master output. We have supported group audio recently. We have special pans for audio gain for each individual support. We support both a dual mono and stereo sources. We always allow mute and all the other capabilities. So having said this, one of the important aspects here is the collaborators who are working on the same live show can all be remotely spread. The graphics operator can do all kinds of graphics mixing remotely, while the audio operator can do all kinds of audio mixing, amplifying, sitting using a URL. So that's helpful. And we, with our advanced features, we can build any live workflow based on your needs. Our combined product portfolio helps us to meet any of your live needs that you have for building your events, or launching and producing your events.
There is another question, BJ, and it's regarding closed captioning for Indian languages.
Yeah, as of today, we only support, I guess, okay, so let me take it back. So for live captions, it's a different thing. For closed captioning, with our transcriber supports all localization in several different languages. So if you subscribe to our transcriber with our producer, we can essentially support you. I think most likely the Indian language is supported. Probably you're talking about Hindi. I can double verify that, but I'm confident that we already sell our transcriber solution to many customers across Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Thank you.
The other one is regarding gallery on Partyline. So Raymond was showing how to output the gallery, the mosaic, into our server. So there is one question about outputting the same mosaic to an input in the producer.
Can you repeat the last part of that?
Yeah, they want the mosaic to go as an input to the TVU producer.
So as of today, the mosaic output is actually meant for live interaction, and typically the mosaic output is sent to big screens in the stadiums, or probably in the retail malls, or probably in one of the museums, or locations where you have a huge screen, and where with the advent of COVID, now people are not going live in the stadium. So they are actually using their computers, they are joining the game, they are actually having a look at the game online, and they are able to cheer it. See, the mosaic feature helps us to have a live interaction with all the fans, and we can bring any fan into one of our live shows, and we can. So the mosaic is really meant for output to the receiver and taking the output from receiver to bigger screens. Whereas, in case if you want to build a unique workflow, you want to take the output of the mosaic to a producer, and there are huge number of possibilities. We typically work on a DevOps culture. So we closely work with customers to understand their needs and deliver those enhancements and features based on their needs. So if you want to work with us, obviously we will be more than happy to take your features and implement it in a very timely, agile fashion.
Thank you. I think that there is one more, and this is more a solution question. Raymond, during the presentation, you mentioned PTZ cameras, right? PTZ cameras integrated to producer as a source. So the question is more related about the control. So if I bring the PTZ camera, will producer have control over the PTZ actions? I personally think it's more a solution answer, meaning that we can use the VLAN, the VLAN tunnel that we can build on the pack, right? To use as a remote control from the same location where the producer is actually acting. So we do have the capability to move control, bidirectional control from our packs and the receivers. So you can use that setup to send the control to the PDC and then getting the stream back into the producer.
Exactly.
There's another one which says, if I'm producing a studio program, can we manage the latency between the cam sources?
Yeah, certainly. I read that question. I didn't have a chance to answer it. So first of all, the TVU Producer is a zero latency solution. So if we have, you can bring any IP sources. Let's say you have 4 different IP sources capturing 4 different locations in the stadium. We do zero latency switching from one camera to other camera. So we have solutions for you to make sure all those cameras are synchronized in terms of the timestamp. And as soon as once you do the synchronization amongst the camera sources, with the producer sitting in the studio, you can do pretty much the, we are the leader in this area. We do the frame switch at the exact same frame. When you click it, it does happen. And as I said, this is what differentiates us, especially the frame switch that we are going to do, the frame sync and the timestamp we maintain, and essentially making sure that you basically, almost zero latency, bringing it from the stadium to the studio, and the processing that happens on the, to produce the live show is also zero latency. Having said that, there is some latency when you send it to social media destination, and then that basically goes live.
Thank you. I think the last one is about EQ features on the audio panel.
Sure. So at this time, we don't support EQ and some of the advanced, some of the more advanced features. I think this is basically all based on analytics and data. We basically make decisions based on the data and how much it is used. And if we see that there is a lot of demand for some of these features, we want to implement that. These are some of the things in the roadmap already, but we typically want to see what customers need. And constantly we solicit feedback from customers. As soon as we think that the customers need it, we will do it.
Well, I think we're all, is there any other question, Brittany? There is nothing else on my panel.
Nope, that's it.
Well, with that, I would like to thank everyone who participated of this training. I would like to thank Raymond, excellent class, right? BJ was really good answer. So thanks everyone, and please stay tuned. So we're going to continue doing more of these trainings online. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.